think we are live. I think we are live. Okay. So, hello everyone. So today it's round 4 of Tata Steel Masters. So 3 rounds have finished, and after this round, there is a rest day tomorrow. So like yesterday, we will see some yesterday games, and we'll go to live games again. So the very interesting match yesterday was Fabiano Caruana versus Dula John Christopher, where we left the position around here. Yes, okay, just a minute guys. Okay, so we left the position here, and while leaving I thought like, okay, Fabiano might play g5, and the position is very unclear, and we don't know what's going to happen, right? So as we thought, Fabiano played g5, and Dura took on c3 because he cannot take on e6 obviously, because gf6, and file is getting open and it's almost checkmate. So he took on c3. From here Fabiano played brilliant chess. Like we can say that this might be the best game in this tournament. Okay, we don't know, still lot of rounds are there, but like till now this is the best game. This was so good. And hello, thanks for coming guys. So bishop c3, he took on h7, so king h1 is forced, and g6 check. So f takes g6 is forced because he cannot go back. Then queen h5 check, and this is checkmate. This knight is controlling f8 square. So g6, f takes g6 is forced, knight g5 check, king h8 should be played because king here. Then I think white can play queen f7 check, and rook g3 or rook g4, and is going to get mated. So king h8, and a brilliant move was played by Fabiano, is bishop d4. Amazing move. So black has to take bishop takes d4. If not, let's say like something like queen a2, then check, then checkmate. This bishop is defending the pawn, so he must take on d4. Let me set camera a bit. Okay, this is fine. Yeah, so he must take on d4, then rook takes d4. Now rook is joined in the game. Now the threat is rook h4 check, king g8, and queen f7 checkmate. So black must play knight f6 to defend this rook. Like if now rook h4, then he can play king g8. Now queen f7 checkmate is not there, so he must give the piece in the return. So knight f6, queen takes b7, rook b8 attacking the queen, queen f7, threatening to play knight e6. Main threat is to play rook h4 check now. Rook e1 check, rook d1, takes on e1, should take. Now I think the main threat is to play knight e6 now. Like let's say if black takes on a2, then I think white can just play knight e6, should play rook g8 force to defend this checkmate, and I think just rook g3, and rook h3 is going to be mated, because I think this is not going to work, because just check and I can take on g6, and rook h1 is forced mate, and white king is pretty safe here. There are no checks as well. So rook g1, rook e8, knight e6, rook e6, because he has to forcefully give this knight because there's nothing he can do. So should take, queen takes, queen a2. So by this position, both players had already came to time trouble. So obviously white has winning position because simple exchange up, and the black king is very weak. So by here both players got into time trouble. So Fabiano played 2 times check check, and he decided to exchange the queen by queen a3, because in time trouble it's always tricky when opponent has the knight. So he thought, okay, let's exchange the queens. This is actually a fine thing. So king, they played till here. Now Fabiano, till here he played a brilliant game, amazing game he played, amazing opening preparation, everything is very nice. But from here he missed the win because of this move. So he played rook e1 to stop king e6 and king d7, to stop king to go to queen side. But he simply missed king e8, I think. I mean, not only this way, right? He has this way as well. So after this, his king came this side and became a bit easy. We'll see that. So I think here white winning move is a4. So we are weakening this pawn. If he takes, we will just take king c4 and rook a1. Just take both the pawns and winning. And if he doesn't take, let's say king e6, and we will take on b5 and play rook b1. And now this pawn has become weak and this king is very far. Once we win this pawn, c4 pawn also will fall, and it's just completely winning. So yeah, so he should have played a4, but of course he was in time trouble. It's really difficult by that time to play. So he played rook e1, king e8, missed king e8, I think. Now he played a4, but the thing is, takes. If he plays rook b1 now, then king c6 simply. He'll just defend the pawn like right in time. So with rook e1 he wasted an important tempo. So after this, Duda played very well, and as you can see here, white had some chances, but black also had very good counterplay. So after this knight f4, I think this is a draw. Threatening to play knight d5 check, and winning the c3 pawn. King a5, knight e2 again. Cannot play rook g3 because just take with the knight. Have to defend this pawn, so king b4 forced again. Knight f4 again, threatening to play knight d5 check. So the moves repeated like this, and it was a draw. Such an amazing game, guys. Fabiano played very well, and he was clearly winning but missed. But we should appreciate Duda as well for his fighting spirit, right? Like he fought very well and gave the toughest defense. So it paid off. So it's nice, such an amazing game, and okay. So one more game I want to see is Harikrishna's game, and then we'll go for live games. So we left here. Let me flip the board, okay. So you guys will have Harikrishna's side. Yeah. Okay, you're saying, bro, please play games in leeches. No, I will do those videos for sure, but for now I'm going to stick to commentary because This is an important tournament and one of the strongest tournaments in here. So I'm going to play some games for sure after some days, like after this tournament finished, or maybe in between. But for now, let's stick to the commentary, right? So Kiran, what is saying? You should have kept the queen, I think, because okay, you mean white should have kept the queen? No, but actually, it's a good thing that he exchanged the queen because. Wait, sorry, not this. Let me flip the board. Okay. Because if you see that, obviously black king is weak. White has exchange up, and if white plays some inaccuracies, his queen might get very activated. And okay, now threat is to play queen a1 check and win this rook, or queen a1 check and take on b2, and suddenly white king is getting opened, and they both are they both are in time trouble. So queen and knight for black will be very tricky, right, to play in time trouble. So Fabiano decided to exchange the queen. Actually, that is a good idea to exchange the queen. After that, he played bad. Like here, he should have played a4 and is just winning. But here, exchanging the queen is practically the best way. Because let's see, if you take on g6, then check, and I'll take here. Suddenly, it became so complicated if you see. Because suddenly white king has become weak, black will get checks. So it's a good thing that white exchanged the queen. So yeah, white should exchange the queen and black should try to maintain the queen, but after queen a3 it didn't get possible because there are no squares for the queen. He has to take by force. Then pawn takes, it's a end game, and he missed the win, Fabiano. So let's go to Hare Krishna's game. So we left here. So what I thought was like before leaving, I said that okay, Hare Krishna might play b5 or bishop a3. So Hari chose b5, and Grandillis played knight b2, guys, which I didn't like actually. I thought a3 was better move for white, because if I take on a4, he can take on b4. Like if I take with the knight, he can move his queen to f1, d2, whatever, and maybe black will play knight c6, takes with the rook, queen b5 or queen b6. I thought this position was like fine, like fine for both players, and it will go like this. Obviously he must have saw a3, but I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, I'm not sure. But I liked a3. Actually I want to check with engine once. I don't know where it is. Computer analysis, let's see. So a3, he can play a3 actually, takes a b4, knight b4. Okay, the only problem is this. Okay, like if I move my queen, black can play a3 and a2. Yeah, that's the thing. Yep, that's the thing. Yeah, actually I missed a3 move. So till here he played very well actually. Bishop f4. I think bishop f4 was not good. Yeah, it's like he just wasted it unnecessary tempo. Maybe he should have just developed his rook. But okay, he wanted to try some different things. So okay, so knight b2. So a3. The problem is, guys, black will take. If queen d2 or whatever the move is, black will play a3 and play a to try to defend that pawn. It's not good. So after knight b2, like b5, white play knight b2, then bishop a3. Such a nice move, blocking, attacking that knight, stopping unnecessary things like a4, like mainly a4 break, and let's say controlling this c1 square. Queen a2 should defend, short castling, simply rook b1. So now, by now we can see that black is completely fine because his bad bishop has got exchange. The bishop on a3 is very strong, controlling the squares. Queen is doing a great job. Knight b4 can come at any time, attacking the a2 pawn. And black played rook c7, doubling the rooks. So here he just played queen b6 and open up on the queen side. Yeah, has to play bishop c1 because the bishop was very strong on a3. So takes, knight c4. Now if we see that all black pieces are very active and this knight on c4 is just a monster, black will play rook a8 and rook a3, or this a2 pawn will be always hanging. Yeah, rook a8, knight c6, rook a3 and queen a7. So just see this, rook a3 and queen a7. He just simply developed his pieces, blockaded that pawn on a2 and played queen a7. Now this pawn will be lost by force, knight b4, and this pawn lost. So after this is just simple pawn up and it's a passer pawn. So this is a nice tactic by Hare Krishna. He just took and fork. Queen is attack and knight is attack. The what is one of the most important rules is that when you have material up, you should try to exchange pieces. When you have material down, you should try to exchange pawns for more drawing chances. But when you have material up, you should try to exchange all the pieces. Then that pawn up will be just clearly winning, right? So obviously there are a lot of other winning ways, but Hare Krishna chose the simple one. He just exchanged pieces, queen a4 and b4, and that pawn is unstoppable. He'll just play b3, b2, queen a1, and it's just over. Like let's say g4, something like that. Then this, if g5, just queen a2, and next b2, b1 queen, clearly winning. Such a nice positional game by Hare Krishna. As we know, he is really good in end game. Brilliant game by Hare Krishna. Okay, so let's go for live, right? Let's go for live games. So today we have Hare Krishna versus Fabiano. Oh, this is going to be very, very interesting game. So Hare Krishna versus Fabiano Caruana. Just a minute, guys. Okay, I think everything is good. So e4. I think Hare Krishna clearly like standardly prepared only e4 in this for this tournament. I think two games. I think last game also he played e4 with Bashir. Yeah, he's only playing e4. So let's see. Let's keep white, right? Let's keep white side. Flip board. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6. This is Rilop's variation. This is like full theory. bishop a4, knight f6, short castling b5. So this is called archangelic variation, archangel variation. It has got very popularity recently. So generally the main line is that castling bishop e7, rook e1, b5, bishop b3, d6, c3, short castling, h3, and there are a lot of options here like knight b8, Breyer system, knight a5, Chigorin system, and I think bishop b7 is called Zaitsev. Like this is the main position. Then there is tons of theory in this, like a lot. This is like this was very popular in Gary Kasparov and Anatoly Karpov times when they played world championship matches, and even after that it was very popular. But it's a huge theory. A lot is there. So black players are like, okay, you know, why to go there and play full that have to remember a lot of stuff. So this b5 variation archangelic is like kind of forced variation. Like in this variation the lines will be very kind of forced. So it's kind of a forced variation. So let's look at it. So just a minute, guys. Okay. Okay, everything is good. Okay, I suppose. Okay. So b5, bishop b3 forced because piece is attack. Bishop c5, yeah, that's what. Instead of keeping the bishop on e7, black keeps the bishop on c5 in an active square. You know, always looking at the king. So b5, so b5, bishop b3, bishop c5, a4. This is all theory, guys. a4 trying to, because black has played b5 early, white is trying to make use of it, not threatening to take on b5, because black cannot take, then he will lose the rook. Like let's say short castling now, he can just take on b5, takes, and he will lose the rook. So because black has played b5 earlier, instead of playing bishop e7 slowly, white is trying to make use of it. So a4, rook b8, getting away from the pin, c3, threatening to play d4 and take over the center, so we should play d6, controlling it, d4, bishop b6, a5, bishop a7. So if you can look at this, right, like why not direct bishop a7, because bishop b6, a5, now bishop a7 is like tempo losing, right? It's kind of losing a tempo, right? So we can see, so d4, I'll tell the main point. So if black plays bishop a7 first itself, there is one problem. White can take on b5. So if rook takes b5, obviously it's not good because bishop a4 and it's a pin. He's going to lose a piece or the exchange. If you take with the pawn, then I will play d5. Now if you look at it, you cannot move the knight because the bishop is attacked. This knight is supporting the bishop, you cannot move the knight. If you move the knight, you will just lose a piece. If you don't move it, then I am just going to take the knight on c6. Just a piece down. So black played bishop b6 first, a5 and bishop a7. Now like the pawn is on a5, right? If the pawn was on a4, he'll take on b5. And let's say if he had take on b5 now, then he can just take with the pawn, and the bishop on b6 is nice now. So that's the reason black played bishop b6 instead of bishop a7. So a5, bishop a7, h3. Why h3? Because stopping bishop g4. So if you see, guys, the e pawn is attacking, the knight is attacking this, the bishop is attacking this pawn. All black pieces have control on this square, right? So white played h3 because let's say if some random move like rook e1, then if black plays bishop g4, then this pin is very annoying, and black is threatening to take on d4. It's slowly is going to get into black's way, like the position. So after bishop a7, h3. So now that bishop g4 is not there, black plays bishop b7. He wants to develop it on queen side because bishop g4 is not there. So rook e1 defending the pawn. And by the way, I forgot to say one thing. Like let's say from here, right? Rook b8, c3, d6, d4. Why black cannot take on e4? It's a free pawn, right? What's the problem with this? The problem is it's not a free pawn, it's a trap. Now white has bishop d5 and it's a fork actually. The c6 knight is attacked, the e4 knight is attacked. Whatever knight you move, you are going to lose one knight. So that's the trick. You should always be careful of the tricks in openings. Like it's important, guys, like whenever if you're getting a free pawn or whatever, some free stuff, like generally opponent won't give it for free, right? Like okay, there will be some plan behind it if he is giving a pawn like free. Like here he simply played h3, the e4 pawn is hanging, like what's wrong if I take? So you should always be careful about what opponent's plans. Like you cannot take now because bishop d5 and you are going to lose a piece. So black played bishop b7, defended this knight, and now he is threatening to take on e4. He defended the one knight. That's why now white defended with rook e1. So short castling, bishop e3, and there is a small threat here as well. What if I take now? What if I take now, right? What's wrong? Because bishop d5 is not a problem. Already bishop is defending this knight, and I can just go this knight back. If you take, I'll simply take with the bishop and it's fine for me, right? The knight is already guarded. So what's wrong if I take knight e4 now? That is a blunder actually. So just a minute. Okay, so what's the problem with knight e4? Yes, d5. Yes, you are correct. d5. Yes, you are right. So the thing is now black cannot move this knight because the bishop is hanging, and he cannot. If he takes this bishop, I'll simply take with the rook, and again this knight is hang and this knight is hang. Again he is losing a piece. So that's the trick. So that's why white played bishop e3. You cannot take the pawn on e4. So e takes d4, c takes d4. Again the same threat, right? Now also you cannot take because of the same threat, d5, and you are going to you're going to lose a piece. That's the point. So all of this you have to be careful, guys. All of this you have to be very careful, guys. So cd4, knight e7, because he cannot take on e4, he played knight e7. Now he is planning to take on e4 because d5 is not there. Yeah, if you see, guys, because if I take now, he has d5 attacking the knight. Black played knight e7. Now he is threatening to take on e4. White play knight to d2. Wait, this is interesting. Actually, now I should think why I cannot take on e4 now. Is there any problem? So I think I have to take on e4, then bishop e4. What I think is, I think white has bishop g5, attacking e4 bishop, and he cannot go back because rook and bishop are attacking this e7 knight, right? And it is pinned actually. So there is one trick. What if he plays d5? What if he plays d5? d5, white has a good trick here. Bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, and bishop takes d5, guys. Because now he cannot take the bishop, he is losing the queen. So that's the trick. So so direct d5, I thought bishop takes e3. Now if you take the knight on e4, I'll just go back bishop, right? Then bishop is very good in this diagonal. And if you take with the rook, then I'll just take the knight, and black is just simply a pawn up, I guess. So I feel like he has to take and play bishop g5. So if d5 is so, he'll take on e7 and take on d5. Good trick. But what about bishop takes f3? Then white can take queen takes f3, and you can see white is a pawn down, but just see how active white pieces are. This rook and bishop pinning this, and he cannot play f6 because this bishop on b3 is looking at the king. It's pinned. He cannot play rook e8 also to defend because f7 is hanging. I'll just take and take on e7, just completely winning, piece up. So actually this is lost. That's the trick. That's the trick actually. You're saying d5 will win a piece. After knight takes e4, d5. How? I'll take bishop e3, right? If you take with the rook, I'll take... Actually, I can just go back knight f6 and take on d5 also. The black knight is on e7, that's the thing. If the knight was on c6, obviously he cannot take, then d5 wins the piece. The knight is on e7, so it doesn't work. So there is another trick now. Take on e4 and bishop g5, pinning this knight. So that's how he will lose a piece. So Fabiano played knight g6. Now he is really threatening to take on e4, I think, because there are no tricks now. Like just let's say some random move, like rook a2, some random move, let's say. So he'll take and he'll take with the bishop. Now there are no tricks because bishop g5 doesn't work, because black has bishop f3 counter attack. Like he attacked his queen, but bishop takes f3, now it's counter attack. Like if we take the queen, I'll take white's queen, and it's winning for black because he's winning a piece, right? So there are no tricks now. That's why now Hare Krishna played d5, securing this pawn and blockading this bishop. So this bishop is attacked, so obviously he should take, and c6. c6 makes sense because c6 makes sense because if let's say if black didn't play c6, let's say some random like h6, right? Then white will play rook c1, and he will play this rook to c3, and he will not allow him to play this c6 anymore, and this bishop will be blocked like forever, and this pawn will be backward all the time. And white can play rook c3, like let's say rook c8, rook c3, rook e8, queen c2, like always keeping an eye on this pawn, and I think white should be better. So yeah, he played c6, which is nice to open up the diagonal. So c6 takes with the bishop. Okay, just a minute guys, just a minute. Okay, I'm back. So Ankit Raj, white is looking slightly, yeah, white is slightly better for sure. Because if we look at the position clearly, like let's say after d takes c6, bishop takes c6, Hare Krishna played bishop c2. So let's examine this position, right? So first we look at the pawn structure. White pawn structure looks completely fine. For black, he has a weakness on d6, and white can pressurize on the d6. Now after bishop c2, the plan is to guard this pawn and play knight b3, queen d4 or d2, and play this rook to d1, and all pieces came into the game, and he can slowly keep pressure on this d6 pawn, and this bishop and rook are nicely defending this e4 pawn actually. So I think white plan is to play now knight b3, or even I think b4 maybe is fine, like securing this pawn. So knight b3, queen d2, rook d1. Let's say if rook e8 now, what if rook e8? Stopping knight b3. If knight b3 now, I can take bishop e4 or knight e4, right? So knight b3 is not possible. Yeah, he played rook e8, yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. So Fabiano played rook e8. So he played rook e8, attack, keeping the pressure on this pawn. I think white can play queen e2 or b4 is also fine, but b4 I am not sure. Maybe it might get weak, like it will get weakness, right, in future. Not sure. I think both has chances. Maybe queen e1 is nice here. Queen e1. I like queen e1 actually. Like queen e1, knight b3, and rook d1. Or even knight d4 looks fine, but I thought knight d4 black will just go bishop b7. Like knight d4 will just go bishop b7. Not sure how we are going to improve our position. Queen e1 I thought is nice, but maybe rook c8 he has, then knight b3. If bishop goes back, then bishop d3 maybe, then rook d1 next. Not sure. Not sure. I would say this is like maybe slightly better for white, or equal or slightly better for white. So let's go to Magnus game. So Magnus is playing with Van Forest Jordan. So let's see. Magnus is playing black, and yeah, it's going to be interesting game, I guess. E4. So Magnus played E5. Generally he, okay, obviously he plays a lot of openings like C5, E5, C6, even D6. He plays everything. So he chose E5 for this game. Maybe because Van Forest is like how to say, he's like very good at opening preparation and kind of dynamic player. So Magnus thought, okay, I'm going to play positional chess with him. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, nf6, short castling. Oh, we have same. I think Fabi also played same, right? b5. But after bishop b3, Fabiano played bishop c5. But Magnus played bishop b7. This is interesting. I'm not quite sure about this variation, but I think this is this bishop b7 move is getting converted into some variation. So let's see. So bishop b7, d3, bishop e7, knight c6. Okay, this is new stuff again. So generally how it comes, like c3, d4, rook e1, knight d2, like that, right? So he played d3, bishop e7, and knight c3. Now this is a entirely different structure, because like this knight may go to d5 or completely different, right? So short castling, a3, just to make sure that this bishop has this square, like let's say after d6, rook e1, something like that. If like black plays knight a5, you can just go back bishop a2. Yeah, that bishop is very important in Rylopis, because like just see how strong is this bishop. So we don't want to lose this bishop, right? So a3, knight d4, knight takes d4. I think taking on e5 is not so good, because black will take on b3, takes, and play d5, I guess. Like he has double bishop advantage, right? So tries to open up the position, and he's attacking this pawn now. So if he takes, then takes, like let's say some random variation, like takes, knight f3, and rook d8. So for pawn, black has complete awesome compensation. Just look at this bishop. Like this battery, this queen and bishop is very strong. This pawn is attack. He can play bishop f6 and play rook e8, develop all his pieces. But if you see white side, rook is not developed, bishop is not developed. This is always a problem, this diagonal. So taking that pawn is not good, I guess. And if he doesn't take, then black will only take and play bishop c5, rook e8. It's not good, right? So I thought, okay, I'm not going for the pawn, because like if I be greedy, then my position is going to get back and is going to be difficult. So okay, in chat is going that about d5 thing. Okay, let me go back, right, for a second. So where you guys are saying, let me clear that for you guys. So what I was saying is, if the knight is on c6, then we cannot take on e4 because d5 is there and we are losing a piece. Like takes, we are losing a piece because the knight on c6 is attacked, then the e4 knight is attacked. What I was saying is, after knight e7, now what if he takes on e4? Now this d5 is not working, right? Because the knight is already on c7. Sorry, the knight is already on e7. So it's not attack. So it's just a pawn down. Like I'll just simply take on here and I can go back. Just simply a pawn down. Oh, that's what I was saying. If the knight is on c6, then d5 works. If the knight goes back, it's not working. d5, this pawn sack. So after knight g6, white played d5 and defended this pawn. So that's what I was saying. Okay, let's back to Magnus game. We left in the middle. So okay, in this position, knight d4. So he took on d4, pawn takes, knight e2, attacking this pawn. So c5, have to defend it. Bishop g5. Yeah, bishop g5, d5. I think this is a nice move because, like, let's say example, if we play some normal move, then white will take on f6 and play knight f4, and forever he cannot play d5 because he will just keep some piece on d5, like bishop d5 or knight d5, and it's like blockade. Like we cannot play d5. So Magnus didn't give the chance and played d5 himself. So bishop f6, bishop f6. He took, takes, everything got exchanged. So knight g3, like just activating his pieces, and rook e1 for open file. c4, trying to break up on the queen side. Rook e1, rook e8. White played a4. I am not sure about this one. I think from last 2-3 games, Magnus is getting indie games, right? Like from the opening itself, is kind of his pieces are getting exchanged and going to indie game. So a4 he took here and took on a4. Okay, so let's see what is this position. I think should be I think black has the initiative, but maybe if white plays accurately, should be a draw, right? Yeah, Milagarwal, yeah, you are correct, yeah. You are right. That's what, yeah. So like from even 0 positions, completely dead equal positions, Magnus will find some way to uh, keep pressure on his opponents and yeah, as you said, squeezing water out of the stone. That's what, right? So I think he has some initiative here, but should be equal. But obviously, we know he'll find some brilliant plans. So I think he should play knight e4 now, because if he takes on a4, black can play queen b3, or actually can play queen b5 also. I'm not sure which, but okay, whatever. Let's say queen b5. Okay, let's say queen b3. So if he takes on a6, he'll take on d3, not on b2 but on d3. Then this pawn will become passer and black will have some chances, right? Like he open position, he has bishop, passer pawn, some chances he'll get. So ba4, of course, Van Forest played queen d1, like now he's setting to take on a4 because queen b3 is controlled by this queen. Magnus played queen b5. Interesting. So if I take queen a4, then queen d3. As we thought before, this pawn will become passer and he'll have some chances. But what if I take rook a4? So what if I take rook a4? I mean, if I take on b2, he'll take on a6, right? Then rook c8. I cannot play rook c1 because even black has back rank. So I'm thinking, what if I take rook a4 now? Maybe something like rook c8. I'm not sure actually. I think this should be around equal, right? I feel like this should be around equal. So Jyot, these were the draw and yala చెప్పారు. So the thing is, like if you look at the position, this position, so how I said draw means, how I'm like guessing this draw means, if you look at the position, the like most of the pieces got exchanged and there are no particular weaknesses for either of the players, and it's equal pawns, less pieces. Like sometimes it's just a guess, right? Like if you look at some position like yesterday's Fabiano's game, it's like, okay, the position is very complicated. How we say it means, because the position we look, we'll get that feel, right? Like, okay, the like both kings are in attack, so it's very complicated, like that. And then in this position we can, like if we look at the position, it looks like it's equal because even material, not much pieces, so like close to equal maybe, but obviously it's Magnus, so he will find something for sure. So uh, for now what I understood means that black has a little bit initiative because he's keeping an eye on this pawn and this pawn, but the thing is his bishop is not so active. But okay, we don't know, he might find some plans, right? So let's get back to this position later. Let's go to Firoza's game. Oh, what happened? So he played Karokan again. Wow. So he's like, you know what, completely I'm going to stick with Karokan in this tournament. Hello David, hello, thanks for joining. So Aryan Tari versus Firoza, interesting game. It's going to be interesting. So e4, c6, d4, d5, e5. Yeah, we talked about this from last 2 days, right? Like e5 is the main opening, like kind of in higher level. Most of the players playing e5 because in nc3 line, like a lot has came and it's going to equal positions. So if e5 is kind of main now. Just a minute. Okay. Take a bite of this, right? This. Just a minute. So e5 and bishop f5, knight f3, e6. So Firoza is choosing this line. Like there are there are two variations, like c5 and bishop f5. So he's preferring to play bishop f5 and getting that piece out and to play e6. Bishop e2, knight e7, c3, I think what yesterday, I don't remember exactly what he played with Veshir. I think on second round. Veshir played something else, right? I don't remember. I think he only plays. I think Firoz only plays c5 here. Like it came like c5 and c4, like that. Okay, let's stick to this game now. So he played c3, knight g6, short castling, knight d7, developing the pieces, knight e1. So what's the threat? Knight e1. I think to play g4, but g4, black has this bishop takes b1, right? Maybe white is planning to play knight d2. Sorry, like remove this knight and play g4 and trying to trap this bishop with knight e1. And he has some plans like let's say example, after knight d2, g4, f4 to expand on the king side, or even something example, let's say something like rook c8. I can play g4, takes, bishop e7, f4, and then play knight f3 or knight g2, knight g2 to expand on the king side. So some plans like that, I guess. A knight e1 threat. I mean knight e1 plan. So Firoz played h5. Wow, h5. Just a minute, guys. Okay, so h5, interesting. So he wants to stop g4. He wants to stop g4, and he's saying like you cannot take on h5 because queen h4, and you cannot move your bishop because queen h2 is checkmate. Like example, let's say if I take on g6, it's checkmate because the file has opened. So that's his plan. Okay, that's his plan. So he played h5. Okay, obviously he cannot take, so he played bishop e3, just developed his piece. Queen b6, threatening to take on b2. He played b6, b3, sorry, and he played f6. So he is trying to open up on the king side fully. It makes sense, okay, because after playing h5, obviously castling, I mean castling on king side is not possible, right? Because h5, it has already become weak. I mean if we castle, it will become weak, completely weak, like it doesn't make any sense. So we can observe one thing, guys. Yesterday from white, Firoza played h4 from white with Anton Gujiro David. Like let's just go back for a second there. So here we can see, so after knight d7, Firoza played h4 from white and won a nice game yesterday with Anton. And let's go back to today's game, and as we can see, in this game he played h5. I think he wants to push his pawns and not just attack. That's actually nice. He's taking the risk, so that's why he's getting the result, right? So he played f6 to open up on the queen's king side, and now white took. It makes sense because now it's kind of pin, so black has to be careful. So he's saying that if you take f takes e5, I can just take with the pawn. You cannot take this because the queen is attacked, and if you move the queen, and I'll just play f4 and defend this pawn, and I'm just pawn up. So what Firoza planned here? Long castling or what? But this looks very risky, right? Maybe I can just play f4. f4 is not possible because I can take and take on e5 with the knight, because he cannot take with the pawn, because check. Maybe after long castling, still it's not some threat actually, because whenever you take, I'll just take with the pawn and the queen is hanging. Okay, what about pawn takes and bishop c5? If you move the bishop somewhere, obviously the knight takes, so I think white has to take, then queen takes. What about this position? Maybe white has knight d3, right? He cannot take because queen d3 and he'll lose the knight on g6. So bishop c5 takes knight d3, going back to e7. Okay, actually this doesn't look that good, but maybe it's fine, I'm not sure. Should be fine maybe. But okay, knight f4, knight takes c5, it's very complicated. Like exact variations we cannot say, but I think okay, he is going to play something between f takes c5 or long castling, right? Other moves doesn't make any sense. Okay, he played f takes c5, yeah. So one of the moves what we thought. So f takes c5 took. Obviously after takes, I think he's going to play bishop c5. Actually g4 kind of moves is there, guys, if you observe. But what I thought was like he can take rook takes h5, pawn takes h5, and knight f4 or somewhere else, and white king was got bit opened and black has some compensation, I guess. Okay, very complicated position. Let's go to next game. Where we'll go? We'll see Anish Giri versus Duda John Christopher. So Duda is white, Anish is black. So we know that Anish Giri is really good in opening preparation. So d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, d5. Okay, Anish played Grunfeld defense. Takes, knight takes, e4. Grunfeld defense, guys, in present days, Maxim Vaishil is expert in Grunfeld defense. He only plays that. He's really good in Grunfeld defense. And Grunfeld defense is a kind of lifetime reporter. It is dynamic and always will have chances. And it's the most important thing is you have to be very good in end game, because the positions will be very open and sometimes pieces will get exchanged and will go to end game. You have to be very good in end game. And yeah, it's dynamic opening. It's lifetime reporter actually. You guys can try if you want to keep one strong opening. So d5 takes e4. This is all theory. So the thing is, white will get center and black will try to strike it and make some weakness in center. So it's like mostly the full game is like about the center. Like white will have center control and black will be trying to attack the center and with the pieces and the pawns to take control over it. So c5, knight e2, defending the pawn. So obviously he cannot take because bishop takes c3 check and he'll lose the rook, right? He'll lose the rook on a1, say bishop d2, and I can just take the rook on a1. So he cannot take, so defend. Short castling, knight c6, again he attacked this pawn. Bishop e3, again defends. b6, this is all theory. So what's the difference between taking here and after bishop e3 b6 taking. What's the difference? So if we look at it, now if we just take here, like the both, like, okay, for a second white is a pawn up, but if you look closely, these both pawns are weaknesses now. This bishop got fully activated, always keeping an eye on this pawn, and this c5 pawn, we can win it anytime actually. Like, okay, we can play queen a5 now, like queen a5, rook d8, knight e5, kicking this bishop out, and slowly we can attack this pawn and we can win it. So after bishop e3 b6, now he took, now it's like, okay, he committed b6, now at least we can take on b6, right? Because we will get will be pawn up, or it's not a weakness now, we can clear it. That's why after b6 white took, queen c7, knight d4. So taking on b6 is also one thing, but actually it is not good, because after takes black will get amazing compensation now. Like this rook is opened, he'll play knight e5, bishop b7, rook d8, like keeping the pressure on this pawn, and position is fully opened and black is fine actually. So queen c7, white played knight d4, knight e5 attacking the bishop, knight b5, queen b8, bishop e2, because the bishop was attacked on c4, he came back, and now he took on c5, bishop c5, a6 attacking the knight, has to go back for sure, queen c7 again attacking the bishop, that also should go back, and rook d8. So now if we look at the position, white is a pawn up, but black has very good compensation. Like the position is opened, queen is active, always keeping an eye on this pawn, rook is active, like pinning the position, the knight stays well on e5, and this bishop is active, and once this bishop also gets developed, and this, if this rook comes into the game, then we can win this pawn, right? So queen c1 getting out of the pin, then knight g4, takes, queen e3, rook c8, e5, queen c6, knight c2, bishop f5, knight b4. So this is the position. So black has some compensation, but white is a pawn up, right? It's a pawn, still it's a pawn. Black has compensation, but white has the pawn for it. So I think both should be careful here, because black has a double bishop advantage, and if the position gets opened, or like if he gets the flow, and black will be better, and black should be careful, because like let's say if pieces got exchanged suddenly, and if everything gets exchanged, and white is simply a pawn upon c3, so he should be careful, very careful. So knight b4, now probably I think black will play queen c4, or no, I can play queen c4 or queen a4 also looks nice actually. Okay, I feel like in this two moves, queen c4 or queen a4, I don't know exactly which one, but I like queen c4, but don't know, maybe he has some other plans, like queen a4 also he can play. Let's see, right? The position looks unclear actually. Yeah, so let's go to another game. Let's go to Vishir Lagra versus Anton Gujiro David. So Maxim is white, Anton is black. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. Oh, everyone playing e4, e5 today. Everyone being solid. Only e4, e5. Just a minute, guys. So okay, so everyone is playing e4 e5. Obviously, in higher level, in higher level, like draw is enough. Draw is kind of enough, right, from black. Or you have to be very well prepared if you want to play for the win, or to make things complicated. So generally, e4 e5 is like standard opening. So it's very solid. So bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, and f6, short castling. Bishop b7, rook e5, b5, bishop b3, and cancelling. So Anton wants to play martial attack, martial defense. So in martial defense, we won't play d6. We will directly play d5, and black will give a pawn sack for the attack. If we see now c3, d5, takes, knight e5. So black has gave the pawn to gain initiative and the attack. If we see now knight e5, rook e5, c6, defending the knight. So anyway, black is going to play bishop d6 next. So he has to come back. Bishop d6, d3, queen h4. Now we can see, guys. So he gave the pawn on e5. For that, if we look, the position is fully opened, and the bishop is looking. The queen came, attacking position. Like if we see now, like already black is kind of threatening mating attacks, like queen takes h2, checkmates. So g3 forced, queen h3, rook e4. Why rook e4? Because if he plays some normal move like this, he can play bishop g4 and attack the queen, and it's getting really annoying, right? Like here, if he moves the queen, then knight f4. Just look at this. Threatening checkmate, pawn takes, bishop takes, again threatening checkmate. If he plays something like knight f1 to defend, then bishop f3, and he cannot stop mate on g2. So that's the reason white played rook e4 to stop bishop g4. So he played queen f5. So the queen has done its job on h4, right? Like it came to h4, committed him to play g3. Like because of g3, the light squares around the king became weak. So the job is done by the queen. So queen went back, went to g6, and played bishop g4. If not knight f3, he would have played bishop f5, I guess. So what's the reason? What if we directly play bishop f5? The thing is, white will play rook h4, and actually the queen is trapped. He don't have any squares. He just have to take and takes, and he'll just loses the queen. So he went back and played bishop g4. Now okay, so h3 was played. Because the pin is too strong, he gave the pawn back for the activity. So takes, knight h4, queen f6, queen h5, g6. So if we see suddenly how important it is to, the initiative is more important than the pawn. Let's say, okay, I have a pawn up, so I want to maintain pawn. I don't want to exchange fe, and if he plays some random moves like this, then he can play f5, he can play queen h5, he can play queen f5 also. Actually, he can play queen f5, I guess. So like or queen h5 looks good actually. I think he's just winning the exchange. So king g2, at least he have check and going back a draw, or he has to take and he'll simply take. So for that, he gave the pawn back for the initiative. That's the correct thing. So queen h5, g6, queen came back, So he did the same thing as Anton did, right? So he went there, made him commit g6 and came back. Now he has this bishop h6 square for the bishop. So queen g7 controlled it, bishop e3, threatening to play bishop d4 and attack the queen. So he took with the queen and he came back again. So this is the position. Position looks very unclear obviously because both white king is bit weak, but white has a very centralized piece like rook e4, queen e3, knight h4. This bishop on b3 is a monster actually, looking at f7 always. And he'll play rook e1 next, d4, stable position. Black is also kind of fine, like he has double bishops. White king is bit weak, like he can play king g7 and play rook k7, defend these pawns, and like this, all these squares are controlled by the bishops. Looks unclear. Aryan, Aryan, hi, hello, thanks for coming, thanks for joining, guys. So I would say this position is unclear, looks unclear. So what else games are there? So we have two more games actually. So let's see Esipenko versus Grandelius Neves. So e4, c5. Oh, we have c5 at last. At last we have c5. So this game is going to be interesting, I guess. Because c5 means most of the times it will be dynamic opening. Hello. Thanks for joining, guys. Thanks for coming. So e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, cd4, knight d4, knight f6, knight c3, a6. So this is called knight of defense, guys. Just a minute. Okay, so this is called knight of defense. So Esipenko chosen the most solid one. So the most complicated lines are with bishop g5 and bishop e3. So these two are like most complicated lines. So actually if we see, guys, like I can show you how many variations are here. Bishop g5 is there, bishop e3 is there, bishop e2 is there, bishop d3 is there, bishop c4 also is there, g3 is there, h3 is there, even h4 has been played, rook g1 is there, a3 also has been played, I think by Sergei Karyakin. a4 I am not sure, but I think this was also played. And what else? Recently I think someone played bishop d2. So just see how many are there. 13 options in this position. So if just see how like wide options white has, and how just see how many different kind of positions will come, and that's why this is one of the most complicated opening, and risky opening, like for both sides. It's really entertaining actually, if I have to say. So those many options are there. Oh sorry, I forgot about f4. F4 is there, f3 also is there. I think f3 is also there because bishop e3, black has this knight g4 variation, so to avoid that they'll play f3. So 15 options are here. No, sorry, 16. I think queen d3 is also there. Okay, whatever. So okay, sorry, what is this? So those many options are there, such a like broad options, right? So a lot of stuff further in this variation. So he chose bishop e2, e5, knight b3, bishop e6. This is all theory. f4, attacking in the center. Bishop e7, short castling, king h1. King h1 is a prophylactic move. You know, sometimes this check will be very annoying. Queen b6 and checks will be very annoying. So king h1 is a prophylactic move. Rook e8. I'm not sure about rook 8. Actually, they'll play like knight c6 or b5, something like that. Rook 8, I'm not sure. But okay, rook e8, queen d3. So looks interesting what he wants to do. There are two plans for this queen d3 move actually. First to play knight d5. So if he wants to play knight d5, he has to defend this e4 pawn, right? Because he cannot play here. I will just take on e4. So queen d3 defended this to play knight d5. Another plan is maybe we going to g3 square and for attack, like let's say some random move like knight d7, something like that, queen g3 and going for the attack. So he played b5. White played knight d5. He thought, okay, queen g3 is not possible because I'm going to play b4, attack this knight, and if I move my knight, then knight e4, I'm just losing the pawn. So queen g3. Okay, he played knight d5. So he played knight c6, c3. He takes f4, bishop takes f4, knight e5, and he took on e7. So let's think about this position. So both has chances because after taking on e7, whatever the piece is, mostly maybe with the queen, I suppose, then white is going to play queen g3 for sure, even with the rook or with the queen. So threatening to take on e5 and keep some pressure here. So main threat is to play bishop g5 pin. So black might play knight d7, then white can play knight d4, rook e1, knight f5. So yeah, he took with the queen. So obviously white is going to play queen g3 now. I think this is also a bit unclear. Maybe I would prefer white here actually. But the thing is, I missed one match. Like queen g3 can take on e4. Oh, I missed this. Thinking, okay, yeah, I can just see, just simply winning the pawn, right? So he should not go queen g3 actually. Yeah, he went queen c2. Makes sense. Obviously, he should go to queen c2. I think before I said if we go to queen g3, he's losing the e4 pawn. I forgot. So this position, I think I would prefer black. Maybe if the queen was on g3, actually I would have preferred white, but it's on c2. So black position is pretty solid. Like this knight on e5 is good, bishop on a6 is doing a great job. But even white position looks solid if we see, because he'll play knight d4, rook e1, bishop g5 threats are there. Let's say this is around equal or kind of maybe slight initiative for white, or equal, let's say, maybe it's equal. So let's go to the last game we have to see. Donchenko versus Oistazhik. So let's see. As we know, Oistazhik is very good in knight of opening. So e4, c5. Yeah, we know that he is going to play c5. Knight f3, d6, d4, takes, knight f6, knight c3, a6. So Sipinko played bishop e2. Donchenko chose h3. h3 is also one of the main lines. So e5, knight d2. So e5, knight d2, h5. So what's the point of h5 means? Generally white in this line, white goes like knight g3, bishop c, knight g3, a4, bishop c4, or g4, like let's say some normal move. You can go knight g3 actually, I think knight g3, or even sometimes g4. I'm not sure, I think it's not that good, but some maybe sometimes he can go like g4, knight g3, bishop c4, a4, like that. So he's like, okay, I'm just going to stop both of them. Like g4 you cannot play. If knight g3, I'm going to play h4, and you have to go back again. So that's the reason for h5. So white played g3. So because g4 is not possible, bishop e7, developing the piece. b5, knight d5, takes with the queen, rook k7, bishop e3, rook b7. This is all theory. This is kind of forced moves, right? He cannot defend this rook. He has to move. Again he attacked the rook on a7, rook b7 then. So g4. Oh wow, what is this? He played g4. I don't know about this move. I think it's his preparation, or he played on the board. I'm not sure about this actually. Okay, what is this idea is like takes. You cannot take on g4 because your rook is hanging. So that's the point of g4. And the main thing is to play knight g3 and knight f5, giving space to the knight. That's why he played h4, stopping that. So he played f4, opening up the center, knight d7, f5, knight b6, queen c6 check, queen d7, exchange the queen, b3, controlling the knight c4 square, and he played g5, which makes sense. I mean, look at this. Like if we leave this pawn structure, then in future white can play g5, and it's going to be a bit annoying, right? So that's the reason I think he played g5, long castling of f6, blockading the structure, bishop d2, bishop c6, and rook d7, defended that pawn, and knight b6, king f7, rook d2. Okay, so probably if he plays this, he's going to play this. So maybe he's going to play this, then white will play king, rook a d1. I think this is an unclear equal position, I would say, because full pawn structure is fixed on the king side. Black has a weakness on d6, but white should take care of this e4 pawn. This bishop is bad, but white has this bishop. This is bad, and no one actually break anywhere. Like black cannot play d5 because he'll just lose the pawn. He cannot play a5 because this bishop is there. White cannot play a4 because he'll just take. So it's like kind of no one can do anything actually. Okay, so yeah, what to do? Nothing can be done, right? Maybe they should be a draw. Okay, so we analyzed all the games. So let's go back to Hare Krishna and Fabiano's game. So we left it here. So Hare Krishna played rook e1. He played rook e1. He came back. I thought queen e1 was good, but okay, I don't know what his plan is. He came back. So Fabio also went back because this is knight d4, always losing the tempo, right? So he played bishop b7, b4, defending the a5 pawn, knight h5, rook a3, knight f4, knight f1, queen f6. I don't know, I feel like maybe black is getting a bit fine position. Let's see the engine right once. What is saying? Yeah, that's what I thought. Black is bit fine. What is the better move here? Okay, yeah. Okay, queen e1 is one of the moves which I said. Knight d4 is also fine. I think, yeah, queen e1 is one of the moves. Yeah, rook e1 I also didn't understand. Like, I don't understand like why rook e1. It doesn't make sense. Okay, anyway, let's take remove the engine. So queen f6. Okay, now I've okay. Like even the position looks like a bit fine for black, right? Because this rook is active, this bishop is active. Looking here, and if you look at the pieces, queen is kind of coming to king side. This knight on f4 is looks very dangerous. Keeping an eye on these two pawns. This knight is defending this very well. And once he plays rook c8, all black pieces are very active. White has to be very careful here. I like black position in this. So let's go to Magnus and Van Forest. So queen b5, knight e4, bishop e7, knight e4, bishop e7, queen c2, rook b8, attacking the pawn, rook a4, queen b2 takes, g4, rook b6, he took on d4. I think this should be equal, guys. Wait, what happened? Okay, rook d4, king f8, rook d7, he missed rook g6 or what? Because f3 or h3, black has f5. f3, f5, and he'll take this pawn. And he can play this a5, a4 stuff also. So as we can see, Magnus is gaining, like slowly he's doing something, right? Okay, still this should be equal, but okay, this is the position. Okay, so this is the position. Rook bishop 3 pawns versus rook knight 2 pawns. So what we thought, let's just go back. So what we thought here, we thought in this position that this should be equal because like the material is kind of equal, etc, but Magnus always finds some miracles in like clear dead draw positions, like equal positions. So here we can see that he kept pressure on the b2 pawn, he won that pawn, and next white played g4 and he went for that pawn, and here he went for h2 pawn. White tried to defend it, then rook d4 and he won this pawn. So knight g1, rook d7. Now this is going to be a long game. Obviously white can defend, but he has to be very careful because rook and bishop combination is very good actually, because in open position obviously bishop is better than knight, and black is pawn up also. So white should try to exchange the pawns like h4, h5. If we exchange the pawns, then he'll have very good drawing chances. So let's see. Obviously black is better in this position. Let's go to Firoza's game. So a lot has happened in this game. So what? So interesting. So exactly happened what we thought. Tari played g4 and we thought that he'll take rook h5. He took, he played knight f4 also. Takes, he played knight h3 check, king g2, c5. So after this a forced sequence, if you look at the position, black gave exchange sack. For that white king is bit looks bit open and unsafe. This bishop on f5 is doing really a great job, but the main problem in this position is this knight. This knight is trapped, kind of. How to deal with it? So let's see if Firoza able to play long castling, bishop e7, rook h8, and queen c6. I would say is clearly better, because like all pieces are in the game. Rook h8. Looking on in this file, queen. If the queen is on c6, then d4 threats will be there. But okay, a lot of moves are there, right? By that time, like if white plays knight d2, knight f3, or if rook, I'm just thinking, what if like rook f3? This knight is trapped, kind of. He can't do anything. Just a minute. Okay, so what to do? I feel that I should play queen c6 now. Threatening to play d4 check, like d4 open check, and winning the piece. If rook f3, I have bishop g4 actually. So actually there is a very weird draw. Like let's say bishop g4, I cannot take, right, because I'm just losing the queen. If king g3, if you take, I'll take with the queen, and this knight is trapped. So you have to go back, and if I come back again to take here, again you can play bishop g4. But okay, but after this actually there is no need to play king g3. I think I can just play queen d3 or queen d2. Let's play queen d3. If you take, I'll just take, and this knight is trapped. It cannot go anywhere. So d4, I can just, no, sorry, I cannot take because queen f3 is there. But I can take with the pawn, right? Takes and play bishop d2 maybe. Yeah, it's really a weird position actually. So yeah, Firoza played queen c6. Yeah, as we thought, he played queen c6. So threatening to play d4. So knight f3 doesn't maybe he can play knight f3 also. Knight f3, like knight f3, king g3, and knight h4, or even rook f3 also. I'm not sure actually. Rook f3 you can play, but this looks very risky also, because our king is getting bit weakened. Like let's say long castling, this check, rook f3 again takes here, threatening to take on e5, and our rook and knight, like white's rook and knight didn't develop it, like not developed, so looks risky. So it's an unclear position, let's say, very unclear position. So yeah, very interesting positions. Okay, so interesting position. So let's go to next game. What we will see next game? What was the interesting game? Let's go to Vashir game. Okay, not much moves happened. Queen f6, we thought rook e1 and king j7, and this position is still unclear, right? I think all positions are unclear. Okay, so let's go to another game maybe. What about this game? So a lot has happened in this game. Rook d2. Vajtajik played rook 8. and white played rook d1. Should have played bishop a5, but okay, he played rook d1. Oh, black played a5. Okay, this is, wait, so the obvious move is you cannot go back because b4 fork. So what if I take here? That's the question now. What if I take on d6? So if I take with the bishop, I just simply take with the rook and just a pawn up, right? Obviously he must have seen something, why, like just like that he wouldn't blunder a pawn. So what is going on? What's going on? Are we missing something or what? If b4, yeah, he took on d6. Obviously that's the only move. Yeah, he played b4. Okay. Still it's not sure, like why he has to give the pawn. Okay, if I take here now, it's not good because I am going to take and take, but still he has rook d6. Okay, I have two options, either take on e7 or knight e2. So let's think, what if knight e2? Like he doesn't have to give the pawn actually, but he gave the pawn. Like, is it forced to give the pawn? Maybe he thought like, okay, if I play rook d8, he'll play bishop a5 and take that knight and play knight d5. Maybe he just didn't like that position. It's equal actually, but even if like let's say rook bishop a5, rook d8 takes knight d5, he can just take, and it's opposite color bishop, everything is fixed, and black can just play rook c6, bishop d8, bishop b6. This is a draw. But he played rook a8, rook d1 a5, bishop d6 b4. Why he gave pawn? Okay, Dudo versus Giri is also interesting. Okay, I'll go back to it for sure. I'll get back to it. So I'm just thinking like he gave the pawn, so there must be something, right, for the pawn, some compensation. Like, okay, there are two options, like I can take on e7 or knight to e2. Actually, I'm not understanding why to give the pawn. Okay, obviously some compensation he has, like this bad bishop is getting exchanged and white will have to be with this bad bishop whole game. But there is no need to give, right? Am I missing something? Is there any tactic or what? I don't think so. Like, you can just exchange. I mean, obviously you can exchange, or maybe bishop b5 takes with the king and takes with the knight. Okay, it's fine, but why to give the pawn? I'm not sure. We have to wait for that. Maybe, okay, if I take on e7 also is fine, right? Because take on c3 is bad, because I'll just take and play bishop. Sorry, he has to take with the knight and I can just play bishop back. Or bishop d6 actually. Bishop d6 is good. So if you take here, then I'm going to take with the rook. If you take here, then I'm going to play rook to d6. Like takes, I will take here. And I'm attacking this f6 pawn also. So looks like bishop e7 I think should take here, but Okay, I think maybe he thought, okay, instead of being passive for the whole game, I'm giving a pawn, for active defense. But I'm not sure exactly what's. Okay, as we analyzed, let's check with the engine at last. So this is fine actually. What he played is fine. Yeah, he can play. Okay, I thought what if he plays rook d8, bishop a5 or what, rook h d1. Yeah, bishop a5, king b2. Engine doesn't like it. Right? He played rook 8, rook hd1, a5 is good. Yeah, he should give the pawn. b4 is good. So knight e2. What's wrong with knight e2? Did I miss something? a4. Oh, a4. Bishop e7, king e7. It's good for black. Wow, amazing. Yeah, obviously it's bad bishop, but let's remove this. Amazing, right? Like, oh, he just gave a free pawn for the initiative. Amazing, amazing game. This is like some model game for black. Like he just gave the pawn for the initiative, like a4 to attack, and he's saying that okay, you're a pawn up, but there's no use of it because your bishop is very bad, and at least equal I have. Wow, that's great. Let's go to Duda versus Anish. So after knight b4, I thought queen c4 he'll play, but Anish played queen e4. Is anything wrong with queen c4? Let me check once. Yeah, you can play queen c4 actually. Rook f d1 and a5. That's exactly what I thought. And this a4 or whatever, I can just play normal stuff like bishop g4 also maybe. Queen c4 was fine. But okay, he played queen e4. I don't know why he extended the queen. He should have maintained the queen, right? Rook e1, bishop b7, rook a b1 and e6. So, okay, it doesn't make much sense because as black is pawned down, he should generally try to maintain pieces, right? And queen c4 looks good actually because the queen is very strong over here, always keeping an eye on this pawn. Looks very good. But okay, yeah, maybe he thought that okay, I will exchange queen and try to defend. So Web, what do you say? It's like classical stuff. Oh, you are talking about before game, right? This Vostazek versus Donchenko. Yeah, that is classical stuff, really. Like actually, giving pawn freely in end game. Generally, we won't do that. Like just like that, we won't give that, right? We should have like a lot of courage and a lot of like should have first of all we should have that confidence on our position. That's the most important thing. So he like okay, I'm going to give the pawn and I'm going to get initiative for the point in the game. That's amazing. So one last game, guys. So I'll be looking at Hari Krishna's game and I'll be going. So let's see Hari's games once at last. So knight f1, queen f6. So Hari Krishna played knight g3, and Fabi played rook d8 because that was the only piece in this position which is not doing anything. So rook d8. I think he thought okay, maybe he thought like rook c8 or d8, like which to decide. So I thought, okay, I'm going to keep the rook on d8, and at the right moment I'm going to play d5 and open up the position. So white played rook a e3. He's saying like, okay, I'm going to stop d5. Whenever you play d5, I'm going to play e5. So rook a e3. He played knight e5, threatening to play knight c4. White played bishop b3 to stop it, and black played g6. So it's like, okay, I'm just going to slowly improve my position. So g6 is like a common move, like improving the position. Like if we think about it, black has a good position, and white is bit difficult to, like, okay, what to do. He has to think lot of variations. When you have a good position, it is very important to play slowly, like slowly improve the position instead of okay, we have a good position, we have to do something and messing up the position. Better than that, we will play waiting moves like g6. So what is this? This is controlling f5 square, giving space to the king, and I can play h5 h4 and kick this knight out of this g3 square. So I am just going to play some waiting moves. So what you are going to do, I am giving the move to you. So Harikrishna position looks a bit uncomfortable, so he has to find kind of perfect moves, right? So it's a bit difficult. That's a good strategy by Fabiano. So like say, there are some tricks actually, like you cannot play queen d2 because knight has to check. You cannot take because knight f3, and is just we're completely winning. So this position looks bit better for black, I would say. Okay, okay, so we have seen all the games, and all are very complicated and interesting games. So now I'll be going, guys. You guys follow the games because all are interesting for sure, and top level games. Everyone must see this. So hope you all enjoyed the stream, and I'll be going now. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a nice day. See you everyone tomorrow. Oh, sorry. Tomorrow there is a rest day, I think. I think there is no round tomorrow, so see you guys day after tomorrow. Have a nice day.